Yeah! Oh, wow, what a great crowd. So nice to see all of you. So happy you are all here. Seeing a lot of old friends returning to WordHack after some time away tonight. That always makes me real excited. I'm pumped for this show. We've got a really exciting lineup for you this evening here at WordHack. Well, let me explain. Before I tell you who's on the lineup, you probably know who's on the lineup. But what is it a lineup of? What is it? Are they bands? Are they singers? Are they circus acts? No, this is WordHack. This is we do a monthly show here at Wonderville. Now we have been running for just about 12 years, which is pretty exciting. We've been at Wonderville for a while, but we used to be at Baby Castles in Manhattan. And we're a show where we hang out at ye old intersection of language and technology. So we have a lot of different people that show up here from different ways. We have writers, game makers, academics, researchers, people making software, people writing books, all kinds of things. But everyone who comes here has some sort of interest in how technology plays with words, how words and computers create new ways of reading, writing, and enjoying language. And WordHack is designed to be a kind of a really open space where we can all kind of show up and see what each other are working on, see what people from different backgrounds in different fields are working things, get a little inspiration, and share some of our own work that way. So the structure of the show is we'll typically have about 3 presentations that are going to be 15 to 20 minutes each. So tonight, those are going to be from Omayeli, Arenyeka, Tomo, Kihara, and me, Todd. I'm going to be talking about my class HTTPoetics, but give it up for your featured presenters, including me. Yeah. Oh, earned applause, deserved applause. I don't know if I introduced myself. I'm your host, Todd Anderson. I'm here all the time on Thursdays, the third one of the month at WordHack. That's how I said that. In addition to our featured presenters here at WordHack, we have a very special tradition how we start off every show, which is the open projector. So I moved to New York in 2010 and did not really know anyone. I had maybe 2 friends in the city, and I was a spoken word slam poet. Yeah, let's go. And at that time, it was slam poetry was so hot in the city right at that summer. It was a great summer to be doing slam poetry, and it was popular. I'd go to these packed events. And it was very inspiring to me that I didn't have to know anyone, or more importantly, no one needed to know me for me to be able to go up to a little sheet of paper and put my name on and get to read my poem to a room full of people and make some connections. Many of those people who I met by sharing my little poem from writing my little name on a little sheet of paper are people I still know and share creative work with and hang out with. And that opportunity to not have to be externally validated or have someone think you're cool or that you have a lot of followers, to be able to share work with other people and make connections and get feedback. I think that's a really important opportunity to have. And part of why I started WordHack is that I found that to be especially difficult if you're making any sort of computer or anything that showed up on a screen or involved plugging in a computer. At the time when I started the show in 2014, it was less common than it is now for venues to have projectors. I would bring around my little projector and a big spandex sheet in a little suitcase and set it up at the poetry venue, and people did not like that very much. And then sometimes it would be there'd be an event at a gallery that would be like, oh yeah, we want to show some work. You just have to install the work on the Mac Mini, which is embedded in the ceiling. So if you can get up there and plug in the keyboard, you can install the work on the Mac Mini in the ceiling. Oh no, you can't plug in your laptop. No, you won't be doing that. So here we try and make things a little easier. We've got some cables up here. We've got sound cable. It works on your computer. It'll work here. Just put your name on this sheet up at the front, and you can come up. You can share a project you just finished. You can share a project you just started. You can share a project you're in the middle of. You can share a project You don't have to share a project. You can give a little talk. You can do a little dramatic reading while playing Mario 64 on an emulator on your computer. That's the kind of thing that can happen here. The main restriction is that you got 5 minutes. I am going to keep time. I'm a prompt person, and I don't like shows running over, so I'm going to be keeping time on everyone. But a lot of different sorts of things can be happening this evening from our open projector presenters, the first of which I will bring up to the stage now. Thought he was going to get away with being number 3, but instead, he's number 1. Let's give it up for Nick Montfort.
Thank you, Todd. Hello, everybody. Hi, Jetson Live, the one person on Twitch who's said anything so far. Yeah, we'll do sound even this time. Okay. And let's see. Oh yeah, we got it. Okay. What we have happening here is a project about story generators. So here we go. Does anyone recognize this? I would be surprised, except for Jakob, yeah. This in fact is a Commodore 64 program called Story Machine. We're not getting sound, but that's too bad because each of these entities, like the house, which animistically is jumping right now. Oh, there it is. We do have some sound, don't we? They have leitmotifs associated with them also, in addition to sort of being animated in different ways. And so Story Machine is one of many systems that's been developed over the past 60 plus years that is a story generator, many of them in research context, some of them by artists, some of them as edutainment software for kids. So things like Tailspin by James Meehan, that's one of the more famous story generators. We've decided to do a project where we create abstracted versions of these systems that capture some of the, oh yeah, there we go. We're going to just let that happen. That capture some of the interesting aspects of them. So here, for instance, is the Story Machine nub, one of the parts of the narrative nub projects that's running, and you can see it's generating the same type of stuff, except without the lovely pictures and sound and animation that you get in the program. Later, the tree goes near these flowers. Their stores eat their houses later. Now the fence walks for that house, so sometimes the boxes run. All right, this is enough. Okay. And we have narrative nubs for different systems, like, for instance, for Jester, a system by Lynn Pemberton, developed early in the 1990s, where she looked at the logic of old French epics. And so here's our nice world model for Jester, where you can sort of see like the characters in Jester, like what's important. Either they're Christian or they're Saracen, Arab. They're male or female, they're rebels. They have a location, they're incarcerated. And so, for instance, Pemberton, who did actually a master's degree and 2 dissertations on this, I thought I was overeducated. So she figured out that, for instance, a Christian character, a Christian man, could pursue a Christian woman who was unmarried, or an Arab woman, whether or not she was married, that was okay. But the Arab woman, the Arab man had to be pursuing unmarried women. So this is all embedded in the logic of the program, and we have this narrative nub that generates the type of thing that, that Jester did. And the hope is that we have, I'll also show you actually a little bit of Taylor, which is another system. Taylor is a system that uses planning to have anthropomorphic animals pursue and often eat each other. Once upon a time, there was an Arctic tern named Truman. Truman lived at the river. Truman was homeless. Truman needed a home. Truman flew to the tundra. At the grotto, oh, this isn't going to be too bad because it doesn't have the polar bear in it. At the grotto, there was a caribou named Wally. Wally walked to the tundra. Wally attacked Truman. Truman had to leave the tundra. Truman flew to the iceberg. Truman flew to the shore. He found some twigs. He built a nest. And Truman lived happily ever after. When there is, this is a much shorter story because it has the polar bear. Once upon a time, there was a caribou named Wally. Wally lived at the river. Wally was homeless. Wally needed a home. At the iceberg, there was a polar bear named Horace. Horace swam to the river. Horace ate Wally. And Wally died. So this is, putting these characters into conflict. So anyway, that's what I got for my 5 minutes. The idea is to have beautiful, beautiful code that would allow other researchers, teachers, and even artists, writers, whoever wants to modify, combine, question, elaborate, all of these different types of generators. Right now we have 4 of them and a 5th that we're working on, but we're hoping to have lots more. Thank you much.
Thank you, Nick, and shouts out to our twitch.tv audience. Hello. Hello, Jetson Live. Up next on the open projector, giving a talk on an unrelated topic, it's Jakob.
So yeah, hi, it's a pleasure. So in fact, it is highly related. So I am just picking up there where Nick left off. Since I'm a postdoc researcher working with Nick on the same project, actually.
Do you have sound?
No, all good. But I think there's this. Do you have to send me?
Sometimes it takes a little bit to... Are you getting any signal up there already?
I don't know, can try again. At least it's detecting the screen. There it is. Okay. Yes. So, in fact, I actually wanted to start there where Nick left off with Taylor. So, talking about anthropomorphic animals at different locations, meeting each other and eating each other. And yeah, we're having this in code. So here, for example, we see some snippets of this where these characters are defined, right? Like Horace is the polar bear, Truman the Arctic tern, and Wally the caribou. And educators, artists, and programmers are invited to use our code base. So my background is in visualization research. So I'm trying to connect the work on the narrative nubs there with some research on visual interfaces and visualizations. So what I created here is the first draft of a visual interface for this code base and those story generators. So kind of like an interactive museum of these generators. So we have a very full timeline of future systems we're planning. We have kind of a vague roadmap of future systems, and we have visual interfaces for these generators. So as Nick said, 4 already implemented, including story machine. Okay, well, there are some visual glitches, but what I wanted to show is this Taylor nub, and I hope this is somehow okay. So what we can do here now is basically the same as in the command line, but on the website, where we have command line parameters. So we could query basically the very same story here. And we have, first of all, the story in text with highlighted entities there. So the characters, Wally and Horace here, and the places in purple, and further visualization supporting the reading there of the story. So the timeline throughout the locations. So they're starting at 2 different locations, Iceberg and Grotto, and then they meet, and Horace is eating Wally. Same with the tension arc, so like tension values assigned to the different elements there, where the tension towards the end rises. Then a character fortune, which is not really visible there, I hope. There. So obviously Horace has it much better than Wally at the end. So that's inspired by Vonnegut's fortune charts. We kind of have a 3D representation of this location chart up here. I hope that's visual somewhere. Is it? Oh, there, sorry, yeah. So here, and a graph with these characters. And what we included here is a long parameter to avoid actually these short stories here. So if we now generate stories, then we have much more complex stories where they meet and Horace is attacking the other animals and then they fleeing so these characters have specific goals. They want to either eat or build their houses. So that's what they're trying to achieve. And what I found interesting here is, and that's why I created this generating 100 stories button, is that I add up these values for these fortune charts, so the outcome, how well the entities are at the end of the story, and I sum them up into this chart here, which then gives kind of an overview of the possible stories of the story generator, right? Like this is kind of noting down all of the contents or the possible outcomes, where Horace here in orange has it always better than the other animals. Then you would think that this long parameter here, which prevents that they just spawn at the same location or are very close, and Horace is just eating immediately the other animal. This is prevented by this long parameter. Let me just delete the cache here. So now we have an empty history again, and I start 100 long stories now. And what's interesting is there, because you would expect that the other animals now have it better, but they actually have it worse. So the lowest point here for the other animals was -12, and now it's -17. So what's happening is this attack in between makes it worse for the attacked animal, of course. Then they're fleeing, and then Horace catches up on them and eats them. Yeah. Thanks.
An amazing double-header presentation. Thank you, Nick and Jakob, for those unrelated 5-minute presentations. Up next on the Open Projector, let's give it up for Luke.
USB-C. I do have sound. I think my laptop speakers might be enough. It's just like a not amazing synth.
I mean, if you're gonna play it, like
Okay.
we're live streaming as well. And
Okay.
it's, oh, we've got a Luke fan in the chat. Which side is?
I think it's here. All right, are we doing okay? Can we? Not quite yet. Thank you, Jetson Live. Okay. All right. So this has never been demoed in any capacity at all. So you'll have to bear with me. But let's see if I position it here. Can you see this guy?
Right behind you.
Okay, I'm gonna move this way. Is anybody familiar with turtle graphics, maybe in the Python implementation of a book? Okay, great. So it's just show of hands so I know how much, oh man, yes, finally. Oh my God. I've been like the turtle guy for 2 years and nobody has ever heard of it. So this is luaturtle.com. This is an implementation of turtle graphics in the Lua programming language. Which people may know as being popular in embedded contexts. It's usually sometimes known as for its role in coding Roblox games, Minecraft, so it has a strong connection to youth nerd culture. There's an affective component. It means something in that context because you can use it to make games and to do a few other things that are usually in a creative context. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, Turtle Graphics is, how to explain this? So it's sometimes known as like an easy way to get people into programming because it's, as you can see, it's visual and it's interactive and sort of game-like. And it is those things, but what I'm hoping to speak about tonight, let's just finish that square before it drives me crazy. What I'm hoping to explain is that if you've read the book Mindstorms by one of the originators of Turtle Graphics, or if you're familiar with this concept of a micro world, sort of what's on display here is a lot more meaningful and a lot more useful in an immediate, practical, many different contexts than just getting into programming or getting kids into STEM or preparing for a career in engineering. The concept behind Turtle Graphics is that these mathematical commands, these coding commands, here we're dealing with a little bit of calculus. Everything is isolated down to an atomic component. So if you're working with a student of any age, I've taught this to adults, I've taught this to someone as young as 8 years old, and under his own initiative, within a couple of hours of us working together and some time that he spent on his own with the Python version, he was a little under halfway through New York State's AP Computer Science curriculum, just on his own volition, because of the agency and the sort of felt intuitive contact that this method of working gives a sort of human mind with mathematical space. Is this making any sense, or am I, okay, great. So, you know, here we've got an example where you can isolate concepts like turn degree. You know, we can turn 45 degrees and then move forward 100 units, and you start to get into ideas that a lot of people remember as being sort of drudgerous and miserable from high school math, trigonometry, sine and cosine, calculus. But you gain this very sort of agentic, humane, patient tool that will sort of, it's there for you in an effective emotional way. And I've seen, and there's a lot of sort of evidence to show that you can do a lot to reverse the psychological inhibitions that people have about themselves as being not a math person or not smart or not good at numbers or not good at such and such by isolating, in this case, the realm of mathematics and code into these transitional objects, these micro worlds, these sort of appropriable, friendly, atomic bit-by-bit interfaces. And I thought that it would be sort of useful to try and examine the concept of a micro world from at least one other perspective so that we could start to think about, you know, anything that I want to learn. Is it a physical skill? Is it a creative skill? There's some wonderful footage on YouTube of Seymour Papert, who wrote Mindstorms, teaching himself to tie a bow tie by creating this little sort of fake neck on a jug and then making a tie that he could tell by its color which was left and which was right, and sort of investigating in this built atomic way a particular physical skill. And so here we have a very loose early stage attempt at doing this with music, which I'll sort of try to make sense of here. I'm not a musician, but here we have the chromatic scale, Is that sound on or sound off? Let's see. Okay. So anyway, here we have the chromatic scale, and you can see that any chord or key or note that you want to play is going to be related to the others in this sort of instant animated way. I feel myself in this moment to be the cause of the things that are sort of happening. It's not just visual, it's not interactive. I'm agentic in this way. I've gained a certain level of power that I don't have because I don't know anything about music theory or play piano. And then if I switch to the circle of fifths, I can see, oh, okay, there's actually a relationship between the layout of the keys on the piano, which would be this order. And I've heard of a circle of fifths. I still don't understand what it is, but because of the design of this tool, I am able to interact with it in a way that is a little bit more sort of, it's friendly to my mind. I can understand a little bit of what's happening. And I don't know what I think this is tone net or tonnets, or if anybody with the musical background can correct me here. But this is something to do with composing. All of these, I think, are triads. I think this comes from Euler. And I don't know what this is, but I understand a little bit about the fact that there's another geometric layout here of sound that people find very useful in composing in a lot of different contexts. And so this is just sort of one or two early attempts to make this concept of an embeddable skill, a boundary layer between humans and ideas, tangible and expressible from a couple of different contexts, and try to illuminate it from that angle. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Luke. Yeah, that's exciting to see. And that was luaturtle.com. Exciting to see another Lua project. We had Lee Tussman's L5 library last time. I feel like we're in a bit of a Lua moment right now as people don't want to buy new computers and instead want to keep things working on their older ones. And it seems like a good time to learn Lua. Up next on our open projector, we have Nolan. Give it up for Nolan.
Over here? No, over here. I have a HDMI somewhere. Yeah. No sound. All right. Wait for this to load. We're going to be hacking some words tonight.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I know.
No.
At WordHack. It's the name of the show. All right, all right. Help me make sure that you can see this whole terminal. It's like a little big, like that. Okay, cool. All right, so this is my terminal, and I can do some stuff with it. Here's my terminal in reverse, which is very difficult to read. We can uninvert that and maybe run this, and now my terminal is going to start falling apart. So I want to talk a little bit about what I'm doing here, which is I've been thinking of it as building something like DOM, like HTML DOM, but for the terminal. And to explain what that means, I want to talk very briefly about the history of terminals. So before we had proper terminals, we had these things called TTYs, teletypes, which were typewriters, literally typewriters that were hooked up to a cable. And the cable would send this signal down the typewriter, and it would cause the typewriter to print out things on a piece of paper, which I think is already actually extremely cool. And you could get two of these things and hook them up with a cable and like type on one, and the words would appear on the other, which is like a precursor to like email or faxing, things like that, right? So there, the paper is acting as a really, really dumb screen, right? You can't do anything but append to it, but it is functioning as a screen. And eventually, you know, we came up with real screens. This is the screen of the VT100, which is like a really, really important terminal in early computing history. But here, this screen has a lot more in common with a piece of paper than you might think. There's not a big computer in here. There's a cable following basically the same protocol that spoke to that typewriter hooked up to this. there's a big computer somewhere else running your program, and locally, all this is doing is accepting like, hey, put the letter A over here, like move the cursor over there, delete some shit, whatever. It's really, really dumb, and we've basically kept that paradigm to this day. And my point here is that it's not obvious that things needed to be this way. The way that things work to this day is that your terminal emulator, Ghosty here, the thing that like shows stuff, is that dumb piece of paper, and your shell or the programs that you run inside the terminal are a totally different thing. They aren't combined, right? And because of that, you can intermediate between those two things, which is what I'm doing here. So I'm running a program that sits between your terminal and your shell. And so you type stuff and it goes to my program. I forward that off to whatever program you are actually running. It responds and I send that back to you, but I also write it down on another piece of paper, basically a second terminal emulator that I'm running in the background. Why does that matter? Well, what that means is that I can ask questions of the program that I'm running. I can say, hey, tell me what's in the upper left corner of the screen right now. Or maybe, hey, please replace what's in the upper left corner of the screen with something else, whatever I want. And once you can do that, you can do all sorts of things because I'm just arbitrarily rewriting this, querying this, whatever, right? Like here's Brick Breaker, but the bricks are the words on your screen. And I've been playing with more stuff on top of this as well, which I've been having a lot of fun with. So in addition to tracking where stuff is on the screen, I'm also kind of tracking where this window is on my physical desktop or on my laptop screen. And so as an example of that, here's a ball. And I can like drag this ball around. Can y'all like see this? Yes, maybe? Okay, but if I drag the ball onto the terminal, it renders inside the terminal. And I can like drop this here and like run a program and then pull it over, and it kind of continues to run and render inside there. And I think this is just like a really cool way to get to kind of do computing stuff. And I'm I don't know, excited to push this as far as I can. So I'd love to talk more about how all of this works, but I think that version of this talk is like a 15-minute talk, which I absolutely cannot do. I hear that Todd is keeping time tonight. So I guess I will leave you with this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nolan. I'm really excited about DOM for Terminal. That's very powerful. And coming up next to close out our open projector, really excited to catch this person visiting from out of town just in time for WordHack. Give it up for Spencer Chang.
It's very nice to be here, and I was talking with Todd outside, and I realized that the last time I was here for WordHack was when Todd talked last at WordHack. So I feel like I'm just following Todd. But I'm very glad to get to do the open mic. Let's see if I can get my screen on here. Okay. Oh. Todd, can you come help me? It says I've BMD HDMI.
Yeah, it should be. Are you getting any signal on the card? Not yet.
Should I try? Let me try this. Yeah. I think my HDMI cable's a little finicky.
Usually it takes a little bit.
Okay.
When it's working, it'll take like 45 seconds.
Okay. Oh, it's on. Okay, let me try to resize this stuff. Oh no. Okay. How's this? Okay, let me resize this one too. I've got a lot of windows. Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Spencer. I do a lot of stuff with computers and the internet. And broadly, I care a lot about the internet as a place where we can actually bump into people and have these meaningful moments. And so I want to talk to you about this project that I've sort of been working on for a few years, and it's sort of coming into a state where all the pieces are falling into place. And it's about making the entire internet like a place that we can sort of hang out and bump into each other and actively shape. And so it started off as this library that I made called PlayHTML. And basically what it does is make everything real-time, collaborative, and persistent. And you don't have to like run your own servers or anything to do that. So like if I open this, can you see another window? Okay, this might look very strange, but let's see. You can kind of see, everything on this screen is collaborative. And yeah, you can see someone else came on here and is moving stuff around now. And this is like some simple examples, but you can also make much bigger games. So this is like a big fridge poetry game that's been running for a couple years, and hundreds of people still come every day and like make their own poems. I can like scroll this and find a bunch of different stuff. And everything you do there is also the same thing. It's all real time. And the things you do stay when you leave. And I think that's like a big missing part in a lot of digital spaces where when you refresh, things sort of all change or they don't look the same. So you get this sense of presence. And so I've been making this extension that, like right now, this is good because I can make these individual websites that feel like a more embodied social media. But what I really want is for the entire internet to like feel this way. And I don't think I can like make a browser that everyone switches to, but I can make an extension that sort of enhances every website with sort of collaborative and interesting capabilities. So I've made this extension, and I sort of have been working on something that's just an initial prototype for Wikipedia. But it also doubles as like a way to track all your movements and sort of give a sense of the people who have been there before. So I can sort of visualize all of the trails I've made, all the cursors that have been here before. I can see like how much time I've spent. And if another person is on here, I will hopefully be able to follow them. Okay, can you see both of these? This is very tricky. I have very limited screen space. Okay, let me get rid of this. Uh-oh. Oh, here. Okay, so you can see my, it's very small, but you can see this blue cursor. Oh my gosh. And then if I get close to them, I can press to follow them. And then I can scroll. Oh no. I can scroll. And it should scroll with you, but maybe I've broken something. And then if I navigate somewhere else, it'll also follow. Okay, maybe there's some network issues. But that's sort of the idea of like, and this is something that I programmed for Wikipedia, but the idea is that any website can have these custom social experiences that interact across different websites. So if you're interested in that, I love to chat more and sort of work with people to create these custom experiences. You can find out more at wewere.online. Thank you.
really cool project. Excited to see how that one develops. Let's give it up for everyone on our open projector. And I agree with online VCR and the Twitch chat. I love bumping into people and having meaningful moments on the internet. It's true. I like doing that too. Well, that's been our open projector. Really great suite of projects there. And now I'm excited to introduce our first presenter, who's me. Ha ha. What's up? Todd Anderson is the host of WordHack. He likes to make websites. He's a co-director of School for Robotic Computation. He teaches there too, and he's also the host of WordHack. And he is on stage right now. He's got some cool stuff to tell you. I'm gonna go get my computer. Be right back. All right. What's up, everyone? Actually, don't know if I have sound or not, but I think I will plug in regardless. So this is, as Spencer mentioned, Spencer was here the last time I spoke at WordHack, which was a talk that was a bit of a bleak talk. It was right after glitch.com shut down, where I had 600 projects hosted, and including all my examples for all my classes, and it's just very sadly going through all of them. And now I have a little more distance, and I'm ready to talk about websites again, but with a less funereal tone. And kind of like in the theme, I feel like there's been a bit of a trend at WordHack where when you're giving a presentation about a thing, especially if it's like a technical thing, it's a fun exercise to build the presentation inside the thing that you're talking about. So, of course, I spent most of the time working on this presentation, building the website-based presentation tool that delivers the presentation. So I'm going to be talking to you about. Oh, Jesus Christ! Hold on. Sorry, close Discord. Is this open? Am I connected? Okay. I'm going to be talking about HTTPoetics, which is a class I teach about the poetics of websites. And I sort of mean by that poetics as in the aesthetics of form, structure, technique, and function as it applies to websites. I was an English major, and a big part of being an English major, the way that I was an English major, was thinking about form and content. And when you're studying stuff in iambic pentameter and looking at like when characters in Shakespeare speak in iambic pentameter versus different other kinds of meter, what is that telling you about what they're feeling in the moment? And I think there's similar ways you can look at the devices and conventions of the tags of HTML and the conventions of web design, and think about what are you communicating aesthetically, emotionally about when you use those tools in certain ways. But then also it can be very, so that's a sort of like poetics as in, because I think like poetics you can sort of apply to things that aren't poems in this kind of like broader Aristotelian sense. But also looking at how poems work on websites, how poetic text works, and how poetic sensibilities can live in website form. This is the description for the class, which I like, and so therefore I'm reading. A website is a poem that is already in everybody's pocket. a house built from photos of other houses, a book where every chapter is another book, where every chapter is another book. In this class, we'll be studying the poetics of the web, the raw material of HTML, the systemic visuals of CSS, the endless interactive possibilities of JavaScript, and the browsers, servers, protocols, and infrastructure that holds it all together. Each week, we will make websites. We will make small websites that only convey a single tiny idea. We will make large websites whose clutter and convoluted interlocking pages feel like exploring an abandoned mansion. We will make websites that speak, websites with secrets, websites that tell one perfectly executed joke. And as we build the web, we will also learn its history from the early GeoCities days to the ways we tried to be fully present over the pandemic and all the wonderful and useless websites artists have made in between. Funny story, I'm a big fan of the marquee tag. It's deprecated, but like lovingly so. There's clearly some engineers who are making sure it still works perpetually. So you're not supposed to use it, and yet. So a lot of the examples I was going to show contain marquee tags, and then I discovered today Chrome has a bug. The marquee tag does not work on Chrome as of today. So I am giving this presentation in Firefox, but shout out to Firefox. Firefox is great. Just thought it was really crazy that that happened today. So I was like, why? I feel like that tag in the middle should be moving. Yeah, and so I have this this demo I always do on the first day of class, where you just make a website out of just a bunch of different little tags, and you can, like, here's different ways text can look. And so in this class we look at different things. Here's the tags. You can make it move across the screen. You can make a little list. Here's a little image of my axolotl that I use in a bunch of examples. And this is what the code looks like. It's not so scary. It's you surround. Oh my God, it's wrong actually. I updated. I took this code partway through, changing these from H1, H2, H3 to H2, H3, H4. This is an incredible bit. This is not doing the function. This should be a /H2/H3/H4. But because this is just a picture of what the code could look like and not the actual functional code, it works differently. But it's still readable, legible, not a big mass of different things that you couldn't possibly understand. Just little tags at the beginning, some text, little tag at the end. So we start with HTML, then we go into CSS and then JavaScript. This is an image I love, which is this is the style guide for a McCafe. That shows you like what are the different colors and wood textures that you're allowed to use when designing a McDonald's McCafe. Like you're supposed to use these are the brand core finishes. You can use LM17 or TL07 for the different brand core finishes. And like, for example, if you have a Lincoln Booth back, you are going to be using U14 on the Lincoln Booth back. And this is how CSS works. It's like you can just set up the whole McDonald's style guide for your website and just specify how a bunch of things should look. I think a lot of people think that making websites, because it's like code, is harder than using software. And I think in a lot of ways it's a lot easier to just think about creating a set of rules of how things are looking. I personally think that the web browser is one of the easiest interfaces for laying out text. Certainly, like, after you've used it a little bit, much more satisfying than working on something on the pixel level like InDesign. And there's some tools in here that help you with that. So we start with that, and then get into JavaScript. I love this HTML, CSS, JS website where you see what the different things are, and you can kind of see that like we get a cute little guy like this that can maybe be animated with JavaScript. Oh no, I have to open it in order to. We can go there. We can do this. HTML, CSS, JS.com. Hooray! Wow, look at that wide. Okay. there's some ads on this website. But yeah, look at this little guy. You can do stuff like this with JavaScript whenever you want. You can split them into. So this is JavaScript. It makes things happen. You can have buttons that do stuff, and I'm a big fan of buttons that do stuff, even if I can't click into it from an iframe. I'm going to click this next slide button. Nice. So in this class, each week we'd learn something new and make a new website. We started out with ugly websites, and kind of like we'll have like a prompt or a theme for the week, and I'll always start out in class making something that fits that theme. And for when we were first making our first website, I like to give the prompt of like making a bad website, because then if the website is bad, you win. And there's like kind of no way to fail at this assignment. And the people who've maybe have a little experience with HTML before can make an even worse website. But this is the one I made. I was, I think, hungry when I made it. But I gave them the little prompt to like make a fan page for something that doesn't have a fan page. This is for Knickerbocker Bagel in Bushwick, and we got some CSS. I also like their tuna salad. 1 hot coffee. It was the bagel was ranked number 4 on a blind taste test, and now a lot of people go there from Manhattan, and I don't like it. Garlic top bagel. Hard to say. And here's another photo of Cuba the Axolotl. Here's some websites my students made. They look like this. Here's a lot of images. We love the subs. We got some harsh. We got some GIFs. Yeah, I love iframes. Some cool ugly websites here. Also, like, wow, how do I get to the syllabus from here? I'm going to click on the world. Ba-bam! That was great. This is my syllabus, and it's organized like this. But kind of we also, as I'm doing this, I like to just look at different historical websites, and shouts out to websites that aren't trying too hard. They're just kind of like looking however they're gonna look. Yeah. I'm gonna accept the risk, and here's the John C. Lilly webpage. Yeah, it's good. Let's learn about isolation tanks. At the National Institute for Mental Health, I devised the isolation tank. I made so many discoveries that I didn't build. The modern tank experience. This is cool when a website looks like that. Here's this guy's a legend. He's had a live webcam feed of his lawn. This is the cursor. It's just there's a little lawnmower attached to the cursor, and it mows the lawn. Are these websites ugly or just good? It's really complicated question. All right, I'm gonna hit back, and there's no way to jump to the middle, so I'm just gonna rapid scroll. Okay, we also made big websites, and this is a demo I've recreated a number of times that I'm very proud of. I created this example after I saw the movie Titanic for the first time a few months ago. It's really good. It's a good movie. I saw a lot of like comedy content directed at making fun of it when I was very young, and I was like, that's a stupid movie. But now that I've seen it, it's really good. It's like very, very charming and moving, and there's a lot of good set pieces. And so I was just thinking about exploring the bottom of the sea. Whoa, and so like there's a little fish. What else do we got around here? And just got this tiny little window, and the whole screen is taken up with this huge submarine cockpit, but you can just peek around and see a couple little things. It's fun to have a big website. One of the things I like to tell my students about when it comes to big websites is that it's a fun way to make things interactive, because when when you're on most websites are tubes. I don't know if you know this, but most websites are just like a tube from top to bottom. You start at the top and you just kind of go to the bottom of the tube. It's kind of one directional. But if you've got a website that is just like real big, where are you gonna go? Like, are you gonna go down the tube like everyone else, or are you gonna go right? You never get to go right on a website. It's crazy. Oh shoot, I went right. Oh no! All right, we gotta go through the slides. I made this software earlier, but yeah, you can kind of be scrolling around and you're going left and right, or you're gonna go up and down, and all of a sudden, just because you have two axes that you can explore, you can go down, you can go right, you can go up. If you've gone down, you can go a diagonal. You have a lot of choices about how you move through that website. And now you're like basically making a video game. You just put some stuff on a XY grid and then it's an immersive experience. Here's some big websites that my students made. They're pretty cool. This one's got a lot of spoons in it. It's really fun to put them in iframes because you just like feel like you're going into a little world. This is my student Annie, who made like their teenage bedroom. Has lots of cool little text in here. This one is just like an unsettling, very long table that you can only scroll through horizontally. And this one's like a nice big poem about the ego is a creative. That's too big. This was Isaac Johnson's piece about QR codes, where I had part of a QR code, and then you just kind of you slide it around, and then you can pop it in, and you say the thing about QR, and then we got this arrow, and then we can just go in, and we can slide it in. They aren't for people. It's just. And yeah, people don't use position fixed enough. I think you can just like create annoying. It doesn't have to be annoying, but you can create like annoying interfaces that just like stick on the screen. So position fixed is how it's a CSS property that like basically sticks things onto the window, and as you scroll, they stay in the same position. And sometimes, like, you can think about that's like how a health bar in a video game would essentially work. Why don't more websites have little crosshairs in the center? You could just like be like aiming and moving around. It could really change your experience. And there's a lot of different ways that the core experience of a website can change by having just something with transparent background kind of layered on top here. Yeah, this is a good one. So we got websites that change when you press a button. I'll show that in a second. Just wanted to show you some of the big websites. Here's 1770-76. This is one of the biggest tubes out there. You really you can be scrolling for quite some time on this bad boy. If anyone knows John Boyce personally, I invite him to WordHack about once a year for the past 7 years. I've been trying. This is a iconic work. Maybe it's too much for the amount of iframes I have open in Firefox right now. Let's go back. What are some other big? Oh yeah, Cameron's World, an iconic, inspirational, very big website. Yeah, this is good. Yeah. It was Skellington time. Warning, under construction. Yes. No, you keep on thinking it's over, and then bam, it's Shark Time. Welcome to the end. It's a good website. There's some other good stuff in here too, but I'm not going to show it. And that's because time to talk about websites that change when you press a button. This is how I like to teach JavaScript. I teach JavaScript in a pretty upsetting way, where you learn like variables, functions, for loops, conditional statements, like all in 10 minutes. And then you just kind of be like, "Ooh, let's press buttons and make stuff happen." Because I always try and make it so, like, I think what motivates, I guess, like, actually, like, the target audience for this class often is people who've maybe done a little web stuff before, but maybe people who haven't. But I think the propulsive force for learning, I try and recreate what was the propulsive force for me learning how to make websites, which was having poems that I wanted people to read and not skim on websites, and just being like, I want to kind of give people the tools to create the experience they have in their head. And if you just like go through and learn it in the way that you learn computer science, where you're just kind of like layering data structures on top of it, that will make you a better and more hireable programmer, but it like won't. Often I've seen students like just don't get excited enough to continue to get all the data structures in their head unless they can kind of like think with the results. So I throw a lot of things out at once and start kind of with results and then work backwards. And so when we introduce JavaScript, it's just like, let's just get a button and I'll give you some plumbing out of the gate. This is an on-click function connected to this button, and you can just make it do something on the page. And like when you click this, it's like, oh no, Todd's a vampire. He likes to drink blood and sleep in a coffin, turn a bat and fly. And here's some marquees on Firefox. Thank you. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, this is a scary website about being a vampire. Something one of my students, this is Adrian Millerrod's little poem about you. Just click this button in the center, and the apparatus describes the social emptiness unsettles boundaries. Vacuity longs for data. The ideal theorizes the object. And here's another Wuthering Heights website that Jasmine Mathani made. It's Wuthering Heights, yeah. Oh no, but it's scary and he's bad. The spoiler is that he's bad. And I like these little skulls. And the website changes when you press a button. Let me see some of my favorite buttony websites as well. There's some great buttons in history. I always like to show this one. It's a Tiff Zhang piece. Meet Search Now. Act your niche in the searching ecosystem with online branding that's built by decisive for those who own. You like to own. Ownify does too. Ownify is the real deal, no doubt about it. Steadfast, aggressive, focused. The persistent weighing just got a whole lot better. Meet Assistanceable. Assistanceable is a different kind. It generates startups, and a lot of them are funny and pretty plausible. And wait, I don't have my sound plugged in, so thank you. Oh yeah. Huh? You've been. It's been like this the whole time, huh? It's kind of funny seeing how many times I've seen people adjust their screens. I'm very sympathetic to. All right, we're doing stuff like this now. Oh my God, this is so hard. Sorry. Let's get that over. Maybe yeah, that's all right. Let's see if we can got a little Patatap, one of my favorite websites. Let's see how we're doing on sound. Boop, boop, boop. Is it coming out of the cable? Boom. We getting any sound out there? Oh no. Oh wait, no, that's my computer speakers. Todd, you fool. All right. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah. It's a website called Patatap, and sometimes like this is one of my favorite examples of a website as an instrument. Like it has a lot of, I think an instrument is like basically anything that has more outputs than inputs, and you can just kind of remix the different inputs to create a different sort of thing. And this is a little song I like to call EEEJIO. www.jio. Yeah. Yeah, so sometimes on a website you can press a button and hear a sound. It's more complicated than that, but it doesn't have to be. And there's lots of, this is a little piece of mine. I'm not going to do all of it because I've done it here plenty of times before, but this is how it kind of shows up in my own practice. Stuff like this. Just got a little text, a little sound, and it's nice. And go through the lines a little. But you can also just kind of like play it. Yeah, and we're back at Cameron's world. We're back. That was a nice. I'm gonna just leave that one open. There's lots of ways to press a button. What can a website be? A room, a plant, a party. There's a Laurel Schultz piece. Laurel's great. They've presented here before about called my website is a house next to a river. I think that is what that piece is called. My website is a shifting house next to a river of knowledge, and has a good example of how all the different things you can think of a website as. A lot of times, in addition to a tube, I feel like most websites are like a pamphlet or a poster. A lot of times they just have kind of like a sort of digestible amount of information and some graphic design around them. But like website can be a lot of other things. It can be like just a little curated space with a lot of different things. Could be a thing that just gradually changes and gets bigger over in time, like a plant. Could be like Spencer was showing. Could be a party. It could be a place where people get together and do a silly thing. That's the thing we like to think about in this class, are like what are different things that a website could be beyond what it usually is. Making a website is as easy as littering. This is something I said last time I spoke at WordHack, and it's really stuck with me after I said it, because I do really find that like that's what I want people to come out of this class thinking, is that you can just like fill up the internet with useless, silly stuff. And most people have the perception that the internet is bad because there's not enough litter. And if you just had more like little weird pieces of detritus you were interacting with as you were going around the internet, and fewer just like big places that are just full of evil, then it might feel a little better, because you can, I don't know, you can just like I host the class through NeoCities, and you can just make my cool website.html, and you can just be like I don't know, like welcome to my cool website. This is the real ones from earlier in the talk will get this one. Yeah. Hello, WordHack. Let's see. Yeah, so like you can now. That's a website. That's all you need. Like it's not very hard. It's like writing. Like there's some styling involved, but like you just put little parentheses around it. Basically, it's easy to make a website, and you should fill up the internet with them, so people go to your website rather than Facebook. Let's see. Does this work? Oh, this doesn't work in Firefox. cross-browser compatibility issues. Let's Edge. It's what we need. All right. Okay. Go through the whole slideshow. Yeah. Making a website is as easy as literally. Making a website is as easy as literally. Making a website is as easy as though. Is it worth it? We'll find out. Yeah. So you're all invited to our class live stream. We're having a anthology launch for my most recent round of HTTPoetics class I teach at School for Poetic Computation. I didn't mean to show you the news. I'm new to Firefox. But here's SFPC. It's a place I work and teach, and I love it. And so we just finished the last round of HTTPoetics. And we have a little showcase. And so on Sunday at 2 p.m., we're going to have a live stream showcase. And I would love to see you there. And here's excited you are the first people to see our anthology. This is the HTTPoetics anthology. Yeah. I love air horns, and I like to make a lot of things make an air horn sound a lot of the time. This is also a good time to shout out my wonderful assistant teachers who've taught the class with me, Kayla Drzwicki and Tyler Yin. They're amazing, and I also want to shout out our guest speakers who we've had in the class, Chia Amasola and Jackie Liu, who are past WordHack presenters. Give it up for them. Yeah, they're great. I saw. Also, do we have any HTTPoetics students in the house tonight? Woo? Just one woo? Oh, cool. Current students. Yeah. Hey. Hey, Garen. Sweet. But yeah, I wanted to see if there was. I didn't want to bring up someone's website and when they were in the room. But yeah, so this is our anthology, and I do it in a real chaotic way. We've had the people that do the HTML review here before, and they do like a really nice, intentionally designed way to move through a bunch of websites. And I basically have everyone design their own div that's 125 pixels tall, and they can be pretty different. It can have like a little interaction. So let me see exactly. Yeah, you can have some weird flower stuff going on. Yeah, there's a bunch of different projects. Here's Shay's little graffiti train project. You can draw on a plane. Hello. All aboard. Sweet. That's great. This is, we got Azad's Hammam project. This is a beautiful website as bathhouse where we can come to sweat. Oh yeah, got a rug. Yeah, a lot of nice use. I have this demo where I teach them how to make pop-ups by making a bunch of YouTube videos that are all playing Sandstorm, and then they go and take that example code and they make actually compelling art. It's kind of upsetting. This is a beautiful project. Recommend you check it out. Isaac's Museum of Jokes is pretty good.
What's your idea?
He made this for his nephew.
How light was the feather?
I don't know. What was it?
It wasn't light, it was dark.
Killer. This is a good website. It's a good reason for a website. Yeah, there's some nice stuff on here. got a bunch of different parts of the body that kind of all have their own poem. Interactive. Move around there. But yeah, this is httpoetics.neocities.org/anthology/2026. And if you want to check out the syllabus, see some of the different websites I've shown on here. Yeah, it's I don't know. This is the kind of class I wish I was able to take in college, because I do think that if you're not already making websites, and I know a lot of you are, that's a big part, a big constituency we have here at WordHack. Websites they're kind of like zines. They're kind of just like the easiest publishing medium out there, and the technology isn't very hard. I added a slide that had some React code, and but it didn't make it in for browser reasons, I suppose. But you don't need to know React to make a little poem. You can just type some text into a little text file and put it on the internet, and it's real easy. Yeah, I'd like to. It's a good way to get your work out there. A good way to kind of share a thought or an idea in an area that you control, and you can control the reading experience. So, if you haven't already, I encourage you to make a few websites. And yeah, check out our anthology and our stream showcase. That's all I have for my presentation. Please clap. In the second half, we will be joined by, presenter Todd is done. Now is the age of host Todd. He's back. In our second half, we'll be hearing from Tomo, Kihara, and Omayeli Arenyeka. It's going to be a great set of presentations. You're not going to want to miss it. But for now, we're going to take a 13-minute break. You can go hit the bar, tip your bartender, Jason, and go to the bathroom, and then you can come back here in 13 minutes. See you in 13. to be, maybe another 30 seconds or so before you actually really have to pay attention. But right now, this is just the period of time where I am talking and people are just gradually finishing their conversations because eventually I'll say something of substance, but I haven't said it yet. I will soon, though. Soon I will start introducing our next presenters. And when I do, you will want to listen. But right now, you don't have to be, but yes, you actually probably do, because at the end of this sentence, that is when I will start introducing our next presenter. Up next, we have Tomo Kihara, who is joining us here visiting from Tokyo, Japan. We are really excited to have Tomo here presenting at WordHack. Tomo is a very experienced experimental game designer and creative technologist who's made a really outstanding body of work. Really excited we got to connect with him while he is visiting. I'll vamp for a little. I know we got some people trafficking, trying to get to their seats. I don't want to have that kind of traffic conversation overloading Tomo's initial introduction. We are really excited to be joined by Tomo Kihara, and let's give a warm round of applause for him.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I just learned now that Glitch is down, so very sad actually. I was like, the Glitch, the service that you were saying, yes, I had some stuff on there, so it's a bit sad. Hi, my name is Tomo, and I'm visiting from Tokyo doing this short residency-ish thing at New Ink. I'm here till the end of March. Whenever I go to like cities outside Tokyo, I really like to do this thing where like I taste the weirdest ramen there. Last time I visited New York, it was like when I was a student, I think like 8 years ago or something. I had this amazing wasabi tonkotsu ramen, which is never a thing in Tokyo. So, but here, like now, I think the ramen scene has gotten too good here. So if there's any like really weird ramen recommendations, I'd love to know. Tell me later. I'm an artist and game designer, and in my practice, like I like to make what I call playable thought experiments, and these are like kind of an experience that there's like a certain research question, and I invite people to like explore that question through play. And to give like an example, there's like quick example, like there's a project I did with a good friend of mine, Daniel Coppin, an artist based in the UK, called How Not to Get Hit by a Self-Driving Car. And it's a game where you have to start from the goal and reach the end without being detected by these AI-enabled camera systems that is something similar to that what would be on like systems like Tesla. And you really have to like fool these systems, and if you do manage to fool the system, it says you win, but a self-driving car would have hit you. And a bit dark, but you have and then you have the option to like, train the system or just like delete the image altogether, really like kind of wanting to have people think about the consent structures and like the consequences of these systems that are being deployed on the streets now. It was really fun to deploy this. We've actually done this in like Asian Art Museum, which was really fun. This dog is not good. And we've gotten really good at fooling these self-driving cars. This is me and Dan stopping and Waymo in San Francisco. You can actually stop these with these stop signs, which is really interesting. So you just step on it and it just stops. And if you look at like the system inside, a random log stop sign pops up. And you can actually capture it like this. It's really fascinating. So I have this really fascination with signs. And I was thinking like what to talk for today's event. Like there's also another body of like, games that explore AI critically. But for today, I wanted to talk about my 6 years of doing this practice of relighting cities with AR signs. And it's my first time like talking about this in this way, so I'm kind of excited to like really share with you all. And you might ask like, what is an AR sign? And so this is the air sign, and I started this, but like during COVID in Amsterdam, I was really like lonely. I could not really meet anyone. I could not go back to Japan, and I was like, I was kind of getting crazy, being very homesick. So I was like, what if I like yoink parts of Tokyo and like put it on Amsterdam? Like, does that kind of make my homesick better? So I started doing this thing where like I was wandering around like the streets of Tokyo on this Google like Street View, and then like getting these textures from these buildings, and then like starting to like put them on Amsterdam. And it was really interesting, like, because you just only need a few parts to make it somewhat resemble home, but it's also not really home as well. It's like I'm still Tokyo in a sense. Yeah, it was really interesting, and yeah, I was also showing this to my Dutch friends, and like they were like, "Whoa, okay, this is very, very weird." And I think like when starting this project, I realized like just changing like these signs makes the cities like feel different and mean different. And UI is a very like businessy term, but if you think of like UI as signs of cities, I think it is such a fascinating thing where it encapsulates things like the desires of the people, the local rules, and the culture in a really like legible way, and also in a way that you can actually hack onto, which I think is really fascinating. So in Tokyo, I'm not sure if any of you have been to Tokyo, you have a lot of these signs of people forcing you to remove your body hair or like beard. I like growing beard, but if I'm in Tokyo riding these trains every day, I feel kind of guilty for like having slight bit of hair on myself. And it's so in Tokyo, like it's all about this. And for instance, like in places like Utrecht, for instance, in the Netherlands, there's like this sign saying you cannot smoke weed here, which is cool and unthinkable in Tokyo, because the moment like you start having weed, you will be arrested by the police, and like in a helicopter will be flying above, and like you'll be on the national news, literally. And it's really personally like something interesting about looking at these signs, and also like if you look at the past as well, this is a picture from England in like 1738, but you would see like people are kind of the same, like they're just like drinking beers back then. And then I thought like, what if I like actually intervene these signs and like make like the future version of them as well? So I also started like playing around with this notion, and then like started this project called Future Collider. And this is like a project where for these AR signs, it takes a certain aspect of science from the future and allows people to map it on the streets like this. So this is a sign saying, oh, wait, that's bad. Just, yeah, take it easy. So yeah, and so when we like think of future cities or something, and we search for these are like the images that would come up, like these neon future glossy renderings of like future cities. But in like reality, it's actually like these where like it's the it's the images of, like saying you must wear a face covering on public transport, and also like the signs of like EV things, which are like an addition to the things in the city we already have. And this made me really curious about like how people might feel if we could like, preview these kind of changes before like they actually fully become normal. And it was like 2021 when like, speculative design was a big thing. So I was doing a lot of these workshops where like invite people to kind of like come up with what kind of features they wanted in the cities and what kind of features they didn't want. So this was like the workshop we did in Amsterdam, and like there was this whole like thing about like what if we had this like no plastic zones product zone. And this it's a bit hard to kind of see, but this part of the no plastic product sign is the AR part. And yeah, so and like we've been doing this work, we did this a lot of this workshop where we placed this around in the cities, which was really fun. I also did this version in Japan and in 2021, and at that time, the city of Maebashi was trying to implement this like really weird initiative of putting facial recognition everywhere. So on buses, on payment systems, and like a lot of things. And it was a bit creepy to me. And I wanted to also use this project in a way to get residents to actually like, feel what living in that world would look like. So I made like these two AR signs, which says like no face recognition and like face recognition happening. And then started adding these like face recognition signs to like, the cameras around Maebashi city, and then like ask around like the people, are you okay with this? Or like, does this make you uncomfortable? And like we had several of these discussions about how they think about these things. And it was interesting how like people it was very interesting to see like through these visualizations, like they like they kind of like have this idea of like where it's okay and where it's not. So for instance, like it's okay if it's in like the school zone district. They wanted to have it because of facial recognition and keeping their kids safer. And so I made, this is actually a physical sign, by the way. So I made this physical sign in like this exhibition format where like people can come and see where a lot of these, where like the facial recognition sign can be placed. And we did also, there's a lot of workshop where we handed this out and let them place these around the city. And it was very interesting. Like a lot of people said like having it on like garbage collection points was bad. Like it was okay on like, where kids were coming, but not anywhere near the garbage, which I think was quite cultural. So yeah, so it was interesting. And after we did this, I learned that the mayor who was trying to push this lost the election. So I guess kind of slightly had a hand in that, maybe, or maybe not. So yeah, so no facial recognition in Maebashi. So I guess I also don't like it. So that's good. And so this was like a project that kind of used these signs in this more like speculative design and like this community building format. Another project that I really like, which I collaborated with like the poet called J.R. Carpenter. So it's a project called This Is Not a Good Sign. And it basically uses the same technology where it's a web AR, you choose a sign and you can actually place it anywhere around and take pictures of it like this. I noticed that it's hard to see the slides. Yeah, it's full board. J.R. Carpenter is this really amazing artist, writer, and poet based in the UK. And she's really has a lot of done projects around writing about poems and poems about climate, and also I think did a lot of JavaScript using poems and stuff that I think a lot of the WordHack people might know. And it was really we made this web app, and then like we asked people, asked our friends around the world to take like picture of this, And so this was like the picture of Bali. This is not a good sign. And Nimas took this picture in Bali, and basically like there's this structure that's trying to like push up like this coastline so that it doesn't like destroy the other buildings. And this is kind of a poem that you can combine together, which I think in English is called a permutation poem, I think. So you could kind of combine it and order it in any ways like this. So you could start with, this is not a good sign. When will the leaves leave us? All the birds left at once. It's fine. We used to have glaciers, and now fire is a season. So all these photos are like the taking around the world, and it's been really fascinating working with JR because she writes all this type of like poems, and then like I work with her to try to like make it into like a sign format, and that was really fun, like working with her on that. And also like it was also interesting for me to learn a lot about English poetry. So she would like, so these are not natural events, are like, you know, taken from William Shakespeare's like Tempest. And we do this like exchange thing where like, you know, she would tell me a lot of these amazing English-based poets, like William Blake, and I would also like share the poets I really like in Japan. For instance, like Miyazawa Kenji is a poet and a fiction writer that I really admire, and one of his like famous poem, which is in Japanese, is like "Kaze to tansoku to no aida ni sekai no arayuru inshi ga aru." In English, which translates to like the wind sighs hiding all the secret of the universe. And I managed to kind of convert that into like a wind size sign. So one of the few signs that I managed to put in there was, because JR is very strict about like what a poem is. And yeah, it's also very interesting to like place the same signs but in like different contexts. So, oh, okay, this is very stretched out. Let me just actually see this in a... Maybe this is better? Yeah. I didn't account for the side screen. But yeah, so it's the same like Time Libers Under Us image, but the one taken in London and also the one taken in Shibuya Liber, and like if you juxtapose that, you really see like the differences of how these like, how livers in both countries kind of change. And that experience was really nice. Yeah, and we managed to make a physical installation of this as well in Busan Sea Art Festival, and we put these signs alongside like the beaches. So this was a sign: "Salt seeps into our dreams," and "Swift ground shifts." And the really thing that sucked was that a lot of people by now saw it, or like I became really good at making these like AR signs, you know, like putting the textures. They saw this was AR, and it was like, oh yeah, okay, you did another AR thing when this was actual sign. So it was really sad. So yeah, JR and I did this thing where like we're like, yes, we this is actual. But yeah, some friends are like, ah, that's actually Photoshop. It is not true. So yeah, that's that. We also in Century are making like a picture bookish. I brought one copy of this, so if you want to take a look at later, please do. It kind of like collects all the photos from around the world that people like helped us contribute to make this book. So yeah, please take a look later. And yeah, you can also make your own poems. I was like making this. These are not natural event signs like in the back, but you can make your own signs. So please take a poetry sign and then like please tag us on Instagram so we can also like put it on our stuff. So yeah, that's it for me.
plug it if anyone is going to Tokyo next week. Yeah, and Tomo has a show up currently at the Mori Art Museum in Tokyo, one of my favorite museums. But it closes at the end of the month. So if anyone is going to Tokyo this month, please go check it out. Let's give it up one more time for Tomo Kihara. Really cool project. Excited to have Tomo with us. And that brings us to our final presenter, Omayeli Arenyeka. Yeli is a really fantastic artist, technologist, designer, has shown some digital poetry here at WordHack before, and also a teacher at School for Poetic Computation, where they teach interrogating computational approaches to art. Yeli's a very thoughtful critic of contemporary digital and computational art, and has a really inspiring annotation-based teaching practice, some stuff I've pulled into my own teaching from. Really excited to have them here this evening. Give it up for Yeli.
The other one? No. I moved my slides somewhere else. You know, you can see my notes. I can't be bothered. Or can I move this somewhere else? No. Okay. I hope I didn't write anything weird in here. Hi, my name is Yeli. I'm talking about metaphors today, and that's gonna sound very vague, but I'll tell you what I mean later. I'm a writer, a technologist. I identify as an overthinker. I've been a writer for as long as I remember, and I picked up technology as a creative medium maybe sometime as a teenager. I'm just going to do a quick survey of some of the projects I've done. So this is it's called Wi-Fi. It shows you like the loading screens of different like streaming services, like based off the country you're in. I made this because I was waiting for like 45 seconds for something to load when I was in Nigeria, which is home for me. Another project is called RIP Glitch. This was made on Glitch. You use your face to make music. This is back when Twitter was still a thing. It would just tell you if you're a tweeter or a retweeter. RIP Twitter. This is like this whole talk is just like RIP. And then this was a Twitter bot that was trying to use the language that I would see used in artist statements to interpret art. So I really like the rupture amid the void and despotism. It reminds me of post-minimalism of the 1980s. So this is all generated text based off a picture. I made this after a breakup because I thought, why do only celebrities get to do like a big dramatic breakup? So if you put a picture in of you and somebody else, it just kind of like does a little crack in the middle. And then this is my baby picture, and just this is pretty casual. It's just like my baby picture made up of Nollywood stills that I grew up watching as a baby. Well, no, not as a baby, but like as an of-age child who could watch TV. And this is the last project I'll talk about for now, but it's a data set of gendered words in the dictionary. So trying to eliminate what words exist only for a particular gender, and what words are multiplicitous for certain genders. So like you have the word mistress and you have the word master, and master has like, whatever that number is, 10 synonyms that can be used to say the same thing. Mistress only has one and also has a sexual connotation that the word master does not. I don't know what I was going to say here, so I'm going to look at my notes. I took a break from making websites in 2020 after my dad died, and I was doing mostly writing poetry because I was like, why would I make a website? They felt very time-consuming and frivolous. So I started writing more. It was just me and my notepad. And there was a poem that was forming in my notepad starting sometime in 2022 when I was with my friend Natlin, who's in the audience. But there was a bouncer at the club in Ghana that reminded me of my dad. And so I was just collecting these notes of like places and experiences that I would just like, oh, I would think of my father. One is on the C train heading home at 2 minutes into a song I really like, randomly to Tinashe's Bouncing, which I don't quite understand, but then I just started crying. If you listen to the song, you'll realize that's why that's funny. It's like she's twerking. Every time I bend to tie my shoelaces because I still can't tie my shoelaces properly, and my dad would tie them for me. When I see an insulin vial at my best friend's wedding, when her dad gave her a speech, at the US Open, when the doctor told me I was pre-diabetic, my dad was also diabetic. Whenever I see the NYC tour buses. And I was also trying to articulate to myself and to other people what grief felt like. How unpredictable it was, how permissionless, how abrupt it was, like something that would come and just wake and shake me randomly, and twirl me around without asking for permission. So these are just a bunch of screenshots that I was collecting about grief, and also about the process of trying to deal with grief. This says, how do you process grief? By running away until it finds me in the middle of a sunny street on a beautiful day. So talking about grief being persistent, grief being permissionless, grief being abrupt. Same deal, incessant, persistent, ceaseless. Okay. And scattered. I'm going to skip this poem, but these were all the elements of grief that I knew in my body, and I wanted to convey, and I was having a hard time conveying it with just words. I had all these notes that I thought was supposed to be a poem, but I wasn't able to combine them into a single document because by doing that, I would be imposing an order. And I wasn't trying to say that grief found me here and then grief found me there. I was trying to say that grief just found me everywhere at a bunch of places randomly. At the same time that this was happening, I was also collecting websites and trying to study what it was about websites that made me interested in them. What was their appeal to me? What did they offer that other mediums did not offer? And I was writing these things down. So websites are good at randomness, automation, repetition, remembering/persistence. I'm not going to read the whole list, but I was trying to articulate what websites are good for as a medium. And I realized that the qualities of grief that I wanted to convey, the ceaselessness of it, the scattered nature, the randomity, those could be mapped to certain features of computation and certain features of the web. So that poem that was forming in my notes app didn't have to be a poem that just lived in my notes app. It could be represented as a website because websites as a medium could evoke those qualities of grief that I mentioned. But how would I represent that? So I started thinking about metaphors. So what metaphors and visuals are latent in the web that could be used to convey grief? To start with, the first idea was that grief is it's a living thing that comes and finds you and wakes you up and shakes you. And what was alive and could perform an action on a website? A cursor. So cursor is the primary vehicle of interactivity, of user interaction. So the user could be grief acting on my memories in my life. And what would the cursor act on the website? So what would represent my memories, my life? To start with, what were those memories like? What were the qualities of those memories? They were scattered, they were numerous, they were layered. They're infinitely accessible and they're infinitely accessible and visitable. So that could also be represented by a folder system on a desktop. So we can do a mini exercise, and somebody can just call out something, a folder structure, and then we'll do that for like a little bit. Outside, okay. At the US Open, and then we can, whenever I see those New York buses, big buses, at a wedding, choose a state, guys, in California. When the bride's father walked her down the aisle, so I can go back. Oh, I forgot about this. I'm so sorry. Wait, how do can I zoom? No. Does that work? Okay. Upstate on a sunny day in the woods. I'll come back to my notes. But yeah, I think the metaphor isn't new. So folders on a system are an easy signal for mess, for clutter, chaos. It's something we know and we're familiar with. So it's it's an easy vehicle to be able to like communicate something being scattered or something being messy. And so the desktop is to the computer as our memories are to us. There's also another project that I really like by Blair Simmons. She takes I would say the metaphor is more obvious or literal, but hers is I want the computer to forget like I do, and then I feel the weight of all my files but no longer in use. And she has a lot of files, and she's like trying to give them away, like her memories, and so it will actually like download the file onto your computer, and then it just keeps doing that over and over again. So there are many other metaphors that can be found on the web. So the website Your World of Text honestly feels like a metaphor for like a big expansive space. It could remind you of behind the door of a bar where people just write down all sorts of shit. Pop-up alerts can be a metaphor for persistence, or can be a metaphor for something persistent. So Chia Amasala's work, like a bunch of browser windows will open at the same time, and it feels very overwhelming, kind of like grief or kind of like anxiety. Where am I? No. Okay. I did a workshop last year, and we started collecting a bunch of these, and I think the metaphors are just living there, and I think if we think about it for a little bit of time, it kind of just can come up to us. So indecision can be having hundreds of tabs open. Scrolling can be a metaphor for walking. So yeah, in this website, as you scroll, just like legs appear. Crying can be like on a keyboard. Holding space can be a blinking cursor. What else? Yelling, whispering can be making making text big or making it small. A potluck can be a bunch of cursors, just like really close to each other, or like when you see multiple people typing in Google Docs. And the more recent project I've been working on is about learning a language and trying to find metaphors for that. I start with what is the thing I want to say about learning the language, and that it's slow, it's gradual. There are moments of understanding and delights amidst a lot of confusion. And sometimes it feels like I'm in on a secret when like the aunties are gossiping and they think I can understand and I can pick up some words here and there. So for this, I was thinking about, why won't you change? The quality of the web of timed and strategic concealment, which is this is one example. So in this website, you kind of go through your mouse and the text is illuminated as you go over it with your cursor. There's also this one that as you hover, it's the same thing. So it's revealing, it's kind of framed as if the screen is one layer and then there's another layer underneath it that is revealed as you interact with it. And then this one is pretty simple. You just kind of click something and then a bunch of other things appear. And then this project by Everest Pipkin can only be accessed at a specific time. So it's also doing some version of timed concealment. And so this is the project. I'll do a quick demo. So you start out with a wall of text that you don't understand. And actually, I already did some of this earlier, but you kind of do like a little quiz. And then, damn, what is that? I hope it's hand. Okay. Yeah, and then the words just change over time. And so it depends on how you want to go through it, but you can choose going on your own pace or you can do daily. So that means you can only do a module like a day, and then the words just kind of slowly as you're learning the language are revealed to you. And by the time you get to the end, you can actually understand the full story. But kind of playing with like these ideas of metaphors, or like what feels like toggling between words in your brain when you don't really understand or like trying to find a meaning. That's it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. What is it? Oh, it's Podja.world. Podja is every day. Oh, it's not there. Leave. Oh. No, I'm zooming in on the wrong thing. Just talk to me afterwards.
That's kpojo.world. Let's give it up one more time for all our presenters this evening, including me, but also especially Tomo and Yeli. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been WordHack. If this is your first show, I hope you'll come back and join us again. We're here at Wonderville the third Thursday of every month. If you saw the open projector at the top of the show and you're like, I could plug in my computer and talk about something for 5 minutes. That doesn't seem so hard. You can and you should. You should think about showing something at the next one. Our next one will be on the third Thursday in April, which I think is April 16th. April 16th. We will be back here then, and I hope to see some of you there. Good night. That's all I have. Have a good one.